You've been a truck driver for 10 years. You're on the Cascade Pass in Oregon. It's around 2 a.m., and the fog is so thick that even the powerful headlights of your massive 18-wheeler aren't helping. Your eyes are dry, and your palms are sweaty from gripping the steering wheel so tightly. For years, you've driven on countless mountain roads across the country. You've seen your fair share of snowstorms. But for some reason, the Cascade Pass still manages to make you uneasy. You're moving slowly and carefully, holding the steering wheel tightly, your eyes fixed on the white line along the edge of the road. You've been driving for about 10 minutes since entering the forested area without seeing a single vehicle. Just then, a faint red light appears through the fog. You ease off the gas pedal slightly. Seeing another vehicle at this hour brings a brief sense of relief. A faint smile crosses your face. At least you're not alone. But that feeling doesn't last long. As you get closer, you realize it's an old pickup truck pulled over to the right side of the road. Instinctively, you slow down a bit more. There's no one behind the wheel. You've seen broken down vehicles and drivers waiting for help before. In situations like that, there was always someone there. A car with the hood open, someone waving, or at least people waiting by the roadside. Here, though, there's nothing. This scene unwittingly brings to mind a story you heard from another truck driver years ago. He, too, had seen an abandoned vehicle on a foggy mountain road like this. He'd stopped to help, but the owner was never found. For a moment, you tell yourself, "Don't be ridiculous. There's an explanation for everything." Still, the fact that the hazard lights are still flashing won't quell that feeling growing deep in your stomach. You slowly pull the truck over to the shoulder. After turning on your own hazard lights and taking a deep breath, you get out. A voice inside you says this isn't a good idea, but there's an unwritten rule on these roads. Today you stop, tomorrow someone else will stop for you. As you approach the truck, you notice the hood is still warm. You feel it immediately when you place your hand on it. The vehicle looks as if it had stopped just a few minutes ago. You lean toward the fogged-up window and wipe it with your hand. There's no one inside. Just as you're about to head back to your truck, a heavy, sharp odor hits your nose. You stop involuntarily. The smell is coming from the back of the truck. Furrowing your brow, you walk toward the back of the truck. A voice inside you tells you to turn back. But that heavy smell won't let go of the feeling that you've missed something. Yielding to your curiosity, you carefully lift a corner of the tarp. Beneath it are large sacks with their mouths tightly tied. You can make out the words "animal feed" on the faded label. You breathe a sigh of relief for a moment. You cover the tarp again. Even though you found a logical explanation, that heavy smell somehow won't leave your mind. You glance at the truck one last time and shrug. It's time to get back to your own truck. Just as you turn around and take your first step, suddenly, a flashlight beam appears from within the forest across the road. You stop instinctively. The light sways back and forth through the thick fog as it approaches you. As the man gets closer, you can see him more clearly. He's middle-aged, wearing a thick coat. He's speaking breathlessly, as if he'd just run all the way from deep inside the woods. "I need to carry these sacks to the cabin. I can't manage it on my own. Could you give me a hand?" he says. There's clearly nothing wrong with the man standing before you, but deep down you feel uneasy. One part of you says leaving him there would be heartless. The other part tells you to listen to that quiet voice that's kept you safe and sound at home for years. You pause for a moment. The man notices the hesitation on your face. "It won't take a minute," he says. You nod even though you don't want to. Without saying a word, the man heads to the back of the truck. He opens the tarp and grabs one of the large sacks with both arms. He hoists the sack onto his shoulder with difficulty. You see him stagger slightly under its weight. You start walking behind him with heavy steps. The man is in front, and you're a few steps behind him. The light from your flashlight barely illuminates the path through the fog. Just then, your eye catches his jacket. He just said he couldn't carry those heavy sacks from the back of the truck by himself. But there isn't a single speck of dirt on his jacket. The knees of his pants are spotless. His gloves look brand new. For a moment, your steps slow down. You try to convince yourself that maybe he had just started carrying the sacks. Still, a seed of doubt takes root inside you. Everything inside you goes on high alert at once. You look at the man in front of you, and just then, he turns and looks at you. That fake, polite smile on his face vanishes, replaced by a harsher, more impatient expression. "We're almost there," he says, but his voice sounds different this time. More hurried, more demanding. You glance back in the direction you came from, toward the truck's headlights, which are still visible. Even though it seems to be just a few steps away, in the darkness that distance feels much longer to you, as if it were impossible to cross. Before you say anything, you take one last look around. At that very moment, you make out a second silhouette in the darkness a little further ahead. It stands motionless. Without saying a word, you drop the sack on the ground, suddenly turn around, and start running toward the truck. Your feet slip on the wet ground, but you don't stop. You hear the man's voice behind you. "Wait! Where are you going?" he shouts, his voice angry and frantic. You hear his footsteps following you. When you reach the truck, you quickly open the door and jump inside, locking it behind you. Your hand is shaking, but you manage to turn the key on the first try. The engine roars. When you look in the rearview mirror, you see the man emerging from the edge of the forest, and a little behind him, that second man beginning to emerge from among the trees. You press the clutch and get the truck moving, speeding away from there. You keep watching in the rearview mirror as the two silhouettes grow smaller along the roadside and eventually disappear into the fog. When you reach the next rest stop, your hand is still shaking. You pull out your phone and call the police. You try to describe what happened as clearly as possible: the truck's location, the man's description, and the presence of that second silhouette in the woods. When the police team arrives at the scene, they find neither the truck nor anyone else. A few footprints are spotted on the trail, but there's no cabin, nor even the slightest trace suggesting a structure had ever stood there. There's no sign of a fire either. It's as if everything that drew you into the woods that night had vanished along with it before dawn. You still don't know why the story about carrying those sacks was made up. Could it have been an excuse to lure you into the woods? Or had the person waiting in the dark come up with a different plan for a possible meeting? The only thing you know for sure is your instincts that night protected you from an unexpected situation. If you'd taken just a few more steps, events could have taken an unpredictable turn. He spent a large part of his life behind the wheel. When this incident happens, you're on a desolate single-lane state highway, working the night shift. You haven't seen anyone for hours. Not a single vehicle has passed on the opposite lane. The road is completely empty. On either side, fields stretch out here and there, and dense forests stretch out elsewhere. Aside from the light from your truck's headlights, it's pitch black all around. Actually, you're used to this solitude. In fact, you often even enjoy it. But this silence comes at a price. As you stare at the same scenery for hours on end, your mind slowly begins to numb. That feeling truckers call road hypnosis quietly settles over you. Your eyes are still following the road, but your thoughts have long since wandered elsewhere. And it's exactly at a moment like that, on that very night, that you see something you'll never forget for the rest of your life. You've been behind the wheel nonstop for about 4 hours. You can feel that you can't hold it in any longer. Normally, at this hour, you'd prefer to stop only at the large rest stops frequently used by truckers. But tonight, there's no such place around. Knowing the next rest stop is more than 100 miles away, you decide to pull over at the first suitable spot. You remember that small, deserted parking area that caught your eye when you passed this way before. You recall it's just a few miles ahead. You signal, slow down, and pull the truck into that small area. The parking area is completely empty. There's no other truck, nor any parked cars. Just a few old picnic tables, a dilapidated restroom building, and the dark woods surrounding them. Normally, you enjoy this solitude. After spending hours on the road, having no one around always makes you feel better. But that night, for the first time, the absence of even a single person doesn't make you feel safe. It stirs up a strange sense of emptiness. You start walking slowly toward the lone porta potty standing at the edge of the parking lot. As you finish your business and wash your hands, you look at your reflection in the mirror and see only a tired face. Nothing else. Before stepping outside, you yawn briefly to relax your shoulders and push the door open to step out. As you walk toward your truck, a few steps later, your eye catches something. You see a man standing right next to your truck. Your steps slow down and you pause for a moment. The man isn't looking at you. He's looking at the truck, as if examining it, his eyes wandering from the wheels to the cargo bed, and from the cargo bed to the cab. Instinctively, you scan your surroundings. There are no other vehicles in the parking lot besides yours. The road is still completely empty. On your way here, you hadn't seen any headlights behind you or heard the sound of an engine. Not a single plausible explanation comes to mind as to how the man got there. You approach the man cautiously, taking slow steps. You stop a few steps away, trying to maintain a safe distance between you. The man slowly turns his head and looks at you. There's no clear expression on his face. Neither a hostile glare nor a friendly smile. Just a strange, vacant stare that lasts a little longer than it should. The man says something. Did he say, "Are you okay?" Or "long trip"? You can't be sure. He speaks so quickly and the words are so close together that the sentences blur into one another. But what sticks in your mind isn't what he said. It's his voice. It sounds neither friendly nor threatening. It leaves you with a strange feeling, as if you're talking not to a person, but to someone who's trying to learn how to speak like a human. Without saying a word, you keep walking toward your truck. For a moment, you're tempted to quicken your pace, but you don't. You don't even know why. It feels as if showing the slightest sign of panic might set off something wrong. So you try to keep your pace steady and cautious. When you reach the truck's door, you breathe a sigh of relief without even realizing it. You reach for the handle, climb into the cab, and quickly shut the door. In that moment, you start to feel safe. You hesitate, wondering whether to look in the mirror before starting the engine. In the end, you can't resist your curiosity. When you look out the mirror, you see the man is still in the same spot. He hasn't moved at all. His hands are still in his pockets. The expression on his face hasn't changed. He's just staring at you. You start the engine and pull out onto the road. You try to tell yourself it was just a strange encounter. Maybe he was just a passerby. Maybe he was just absent-mindedly looking at your truck. But the unease inside you doesn't go away. It's as if, even though you left that man in the parking lot, the feeling he evoked is traveling on the road with you. After driving a few miles, you glance at the rearview mirror out of pure habit. In the distance, a pair of headlights appears in the darkness. At first, you don't give it a second thought. After all, you figure it's just another driver using the same road. But a few seconds later, something occurs to you. You hadn't seen a single car on this road for hours, not one passing in the opposite lane, nor one coming up behind you. Those headlights had appeared right after you'd left that deserted parking lot. You keep driving for a while longer, but your eyes keep drifting involuntarily to the rearview mirror. The car stays at the same distance. It's neither trying to get closer nor falling behind. Out of curiosity, you ease off the gas a little. It slows down too. You speed up again. This time it speeds up too. The distance between you never changes. You begin to sense that this is slowly becoming more than just a coincidence. Your unease grows. You grip the steering wheel a little tighter and, without taking your eyes off the road, start thinking about the next truck stop. You know that pulling over to the side of the road at this hour is out of the question. Your only goal is to reach a well-lit place where there are people. You press down a little harder on the gas pedal. The headlights behind you are picking up speed, too. A few minutes later, you spot the lights of a large gas station and truck stop in the distance. You feel a little relieved. You steer the truck straight toward the entrance, barely taking your eyes off the rearview mirror for the last few hundred yards. Just as you approach the entrance to the truck stop, you glance in the rearview mirror one last time. The vehicle behind you slows down, comes all the way to the entrance but doesn't turn into the truck stop. After moving forward a few more seconds, it quietly turns around and begins to drive away in the direction it came from. Its headlights slowly shrink in the darkness. Then it disappears completely. You pull into the truck stop and park your truck. Hearing the sounds of other trucks and people talking around you makes you feel truly at ease for the first time. Still, when you turn off the engine, you notice your hands trembling slightly on the steering wheel. You never see that car again. The digital clock on the dashboard reads exactly midnight. You're in the middle of your 7th hour behind the wheel, and the fatigue in your shoulders is really starting to set in. You have 1 hour left before your legal driving time expires. You must park in a safe place before that time runs out. Otherwise, you'll not only be breaking the rules, but will also have to explain yourself to your company. However, you know all too well just how much of a gamble it is to find a safe, empty parking spot on this deserted highway near the state line at this hour. Your options are quite limited. The road is almost completely empty at this hour. Maybe 1 or 2 trucks pass by every hour. That's all. You select the nearest rest area on your navigation system. Most of the familiar rest stops are too far away. All the major truck stops are too far away. All that's left is a small rest area with just a few parking spots. About 15 minutes later, you reach a small parking area. In front of you is a parking lot big enough for only a few trucks. There's no gas station or any other facility around. Just a few parking bays, old picnic tables, and a white RV standing alone by the roadside, looking as if it hasn't moved from that spot in years. You park the truck and get out. As usual, you take a quick inspection walk around the trailer. The seal is in place. The doors are locked. Everything looks normal. Just as you're about to turn back, your eye drifts to the old RV at the far end of the parking area. It's pitch black inside. There's no sign of life inside. But for some reason, a strange feeling makes you think someone is watching you from inside. At first, you don't think much of it. It's not all that unusual to see an old RV parked by the roadside. Just as you're about to turn back to your truck, your eyes catch the muddy footprints next to the RV. The fresh-looking shoe prints catch your attention. Your eyes involuntarily follow the tracks. They start right next to the RV and lead straight into the woods. You pause for a moment and look into the darkness of the forest. There's no movement, just the sound of the wind rustling through the trees. You involuntarily walk around the trailer once more. Your eyes scan the parking lot for a while, then the RV, and finally the darkness among the trees. There's no movement. After waiting a few more seconds, you head toward your truck. You get inside and lock the door. Before pulling the curtain closed, you take one last look at the parking lot through the mirrors. A few hours have passed by the time your phone's alarm goes off. The interior of the cab is still dark. When you glance at the digital clock, you see the night isn't over yet. You sit up with a deep yawn and, out of reflex, glance at the side mirrors before turning the ignition. Your eye catches that old RV. Still there, but this time something's different. The RV's door is wide open. You're almost certain it was closed just a few hours ago. There's no sound coming from inside the RV, nor any movement. You don't want to spend even a single minute here anymore. You roll down the windows all the way and start the engine. After checking the mirrors one last time, you slowly pull out of the parking lot and merge back onto the highway. Once you're on the highway, you pick up your speed a little more than usual, watching as that small parking lot grows smaller and smaller in the mirror until it fades into the darkness. A few miles later, you start to feel a little calmer. You turn on the radio, keeping the volume low, just to break the silence. You try to come up with logical explanations. Maybe the RV's owner went out in the middle of the night for a bathroom break and forgot to close the door behind them. Maybe the wind blew it open, or maybe the lock didn't latch properly. None of them fully satisfy you, but instead of dwelling on it, you choose to focus on the road. About 40 minutes later, the yellow and red love's sign appears in the distance, emerging from the darkness. The lights of the trucks lined up under the gas pumps, the spacious parking lot, and the 24-hour convenience store make you feel truly safe for the first time in hours. You pull the truck into a well-lit parking spot among the other trucks and turn off the engine. You go inside and get yourself a hot cup of coffee. You chat with the clerk at the counter for a few minutes about the weather, roadwork, and how the night traffic has been calmer than expected. At one point, you consider telling them about that small rest area, the old RV, and the door you found open that morning. But you decide against it. You know that to an outsider, it would just sound like the ramblings of a tired driver. After all, you have nothing concrete to describe. There's just this inexplicable feeling gnawing at you. After finishing your coffee, you head back to the truck. Before climbing into the cab, you take a quick walk around the trailer out of habit. The seal is still in place. The doors are locked. Just as you're about to get into the truck, your eye catches the mud under the chassis. You pull the flashlight out of your pocket, kneel down, and shine the light a little closer. Two distinct handprints are visible on one of the metal crossbeams. The mud looks dark, as if it hasn't dried yet. Right next to them, the layer of dust on the metal has been completely scraped away, exactly where a person could have held on for a long time, bearing their full weight. For a few minutes, you just stare at those marks. You shine your flashlight all over the chassis. No one's there. You take a few photos with your phone, then call your company to report the situation. They ask you to keep the photos and have the vehicle inspected in detail at the first opportunity. When morning comes, you hit the road again and complete your delivery on time. But in the weeks that follow, every time you pass that same route, the moment you see the sign for that small rest area, your hand involuntarily grips the steering wheel a little tighter. Your foot presses a little harder on the gas pedal. You never stop at that rest area again. After that night, you develop the same habit wherever you stop in the middle of the night. Before starting the engine, you grab your flashlight and look under the chassis. And that's where the story of this night ends. So how would you explain what happened that night? Don't forget to share your theory in the comments. See you in the next video.